Welcome to Wide Flank.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Wide Flank. This is your host, Teddy, and I'm here with the esteemed Alon.
Hey, y'all.
And the esteemed Danny.
Hello.
No more mouth noises, Danny.
Sorry,
get that
toothpick is
out
out.
of here.
Toothpick is out.
All right, just want to say shout out to all our fans. You guys are the best. Thanks for all the support, as usual. Thank you for all the participation in the Discord. You guys are great. It's so great to have friends for the first time in my life. I can't tell you how much it means to me. We've been playing so many games together, so really, thank you. We've been having Rocket League Tuesdays. How have those been, guys? I haven't been to too many.
Awesome. Love it.
It was great. We were just session before this. It was great fun.
Yeah, anywhere between like 4 and 10 people show up, and we play like intra-squad 2s or 3s or 1s, or just grind some ranked 3s, whatever. It's great.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Sorry to take you guys away from it. Duty calls, you know. Gotta pay the bills. So this episode is a Game Club episode. We played Tunic. It's basically a Zelda game, right, Danny?
More or less, yeah.
No.
If Zelda it's
Wrong
like if
answer.
Zelda if like Zelda and Hot Fox had a baby.
You're gonna have to tell us about Hot Fox in the Patreon only
Yeah, exactly.
version.
YouTube's gonna take us down.
All right, so tell us about the game, Danny. What's the deal?
Okay. Tunic is a video game that we played. Came out in 2022. It's an action-adventure game made by Andrew Schuldice. So like basically a one-man developer. It was published by a group called Finji, which have done a bunch of they produced or published a bunch of Kickstarter games. So this is like a very indie project. And Finji, the publisher, is run by this guy, I forget his first name, last name Adam Saltzman, and his wife, Rebecca, who produces and does game design there. So it's like this really fun, tight-knit kind of publishing situation. But anyways, Tunic is an action-adventure game played in isometric view. You play as an anthropomorphic fox. And it's like an exploration game. It's a isometric combat game with echoes of Dark Souls combat, especially in boss fights, and then kind of like a Zelda-like playing experience. It was released, to pretty substantial critical acclaim. Definitely has a significant cult following, and people praise the exploration of it, the way it pays homage or brings back themes and playstyles from classic games like the older Zelda games. People praise the aesthetics, whether that's the graphics or the actual or the actual typography of like the game manual, which we'll be talking about. And just just an interesting exploration narrative experience that's a little out of the norm these days, but feels a lot like a modernized version of a classic. So, and we played it.
I was just going to say Zeldalike is definitely like where to start. What were we going to say, Teddy?
I was going to say, do you remember when we tried to define what isometric was? And
my God. Did you guys watch the video, the no clip video that I posted where he describes the tricks that you have to do with the camera to make it look 3D and isometric? I was like, this is way too advanced for me. I'll never understand how this works. I can just play it.
I also thought it was like easy. That was the whole reason they did it. And he's like, no, you have to like do all these tricks to make it work.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the did you send the short no clip or the the 15-minute one?
The short one.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he just has all these diagrams of like the angles that you have to fake and where the cameras have to be in order to make it look and feel this way. I was like, okay, yeah, didn't know that. But
so let's save that for the camera angle section of the podcast that we have laid out.
Describing the angles. It's more of a Dutch angle.
Isometric, we decided was if it's bird's eye view, but if the bird was looking to its not directly below it, but a little bit to the side.
Something like that. Yeah. Diagonal. How about that?
Diagonal, yeah.
Diagonal view.
Bird side eye.
Sun's eye view.
Yeah, the bird's not quite sure about what you're up to.
You're actually the sun. You're not the fox in this game.
Oh yeah, good.
Whoa.
Well,
we should get this out of the way. Big spoilers. This game does have a lot to uncover, and I think it's a game best played cold. So if you're interested in playing it, I would recommend not listening. Come back after you finish it. It's a short game, so
yeah. So you won't have to wait 13 hours. Go.
Yeah, something like
starting now.
Also, like the community, this is one of those games you see like on Reddit and everything. Everyone's really careful to use spoiler warnings. I saw a Reddit post where somebody was like, "Can you please delete this post? This title contains a spoiler." Not in a toxic way, just like kind of like someone's like, "Okay, how do I?" The guy who posted it was like, "How do I delete the post? Like, can you tell me how?"
And like shout out also to Nolan, who was sort of my like guiding light through the trickier parts of the end game, because he was also like very part of that community in that way, where he would just be like, there are intricacies of the world you don't yet understand, instead of like telling me what to do. Or he'd be like, have you found page 49 yet? And I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta like look at page 49. But yeah, we'll get there. But
so yeah, you guys picked this game.
Yeah.
Before, when I think I wasn't.
You were away, right?
Yeah, I was away. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I saw this game, I was like, oh fuck, I really don't want to play this. I was like, I hate Zelda games.
Oh,
I really?
Really?
Don't want to.
Other than Zelda.
What?
You like Zelda though, right?
The girl?
No, like wait.
The
when
games?
you say you mean you don't like the Legend of Zelda games?
The Legend of Zelda games starring Link, I don't like.
Really?
Yes. Yeah,
how did I not know this about
I'm really
you?
confused now.
Yeah,
like Link to the
played,
Past, Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Majora's Mask.
I got my wisdom teeth out and played Ocarina of Time over the course of a week, and that was the only way I could ever do it. It was like high on a bunch of painkillers and nothing else to do.
Wow.
Otherwise, I would never have. Yeah, never.
If my childhood is being rewritten right
I
in front
know,
of
like if you
my
asked
eyes.
me, I would have been like, yeah, Teddy fucking loves Ocarina of Time.
Did you like Breath of the
reference it
Wild?
all the time.
I do reference it all the time.
It was a big week.
Well, it's a game I'm really glad I played. It's one of those things, especially when I was younger, I was very happy to like do the homework, but I don't think I liked it. And every time I've tried to play other games, I haven't liked it. However, that's not true for Breath of the Wild, which I did play.
Which is very different. Yeah.
Which is very different. Yeah. And actually, I feel like you don't like Breath of the Wild, right, Alon? Because it's like sort of...
I've played very little, and I was just like, this is stupid. Yeah. I don't know.
Which totally makes sense because it's not like Zelda.
Yeah, I was like excited to play a new Zelda game, and it's nothing like it. And I was just like, I like very quickly. At the time I didn't know this, but I very quickly got to like an area where I wasn't supposed to be, and I was really stuck. And like, I don't even remember what it was. And then later I looked it up, and I was like, oh well, yeah, fuck, fuck me, I guess. Like this. Right.
You picked Waste of Skin, Link.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Any of these games that just have absolutely no direction seem to not work for me that well. But this game also, Tunic, kind of has no direction and really doesn't hold your hand that much. And the times where it does, it's like in a very clever way, which is picking up. There's an in-game manual, but you don't have any of the pages for it. You have to pick it up in the world, and then you see the pages. And 80% of the manual is in a made-up language that you can't read. So a lot of times you're just sort of like loosely looking at pictures, or there's one or two words in English, and you're like, oh, like, is this what they mean? Like, is that where I'm supposed to go? Is that how I level up? Is that how I like run or, unlock this or that? And I think that was like, very much not a Zeldalike where you don't pick up the manual in the game, but it is sort of a reference to the retro gaming era of getting games for Super Nintendo or NES or whatever, and it comes with a manual that basically tells you all the lore, all the tips, all the secrets. If you're stuck, do this. If you can't beat this guy, do this. And that's essentially what you're finding in the game, even though it's not all in English.
Yeah, talking about game manuals, might as well just dive into this. But he's like, I remember when I would play at my friend's house, my friend would play the game and I would read the manual.
Yeah.
Which I love that idea. I would always buy the game, and then in the car ride home, or I would buy the game. My parents would buy the game for me. And in the car ride home, like little 10-year-old me would read the manual. That would be like such an exciting thing. Or I would poop. And while I was pooping, I would read the manual. That was like
in the car.
Because
I was
like,
thinking in the car, I was like, wow, 10? Okay.
And like I was like, okay, I can be like productive and like studying this game even when I'm not in the room with my SNES.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I was like, okay, I'm just like gonna spend all my mental energy on this game.
Yeah, and I've heard other people reference like they were into importing games. And they would, just because they wanted to get like the early new games from Japan or whatever. And very similar to this game, they would get a manual and only understand the pictures because the entire thing's in Japanese. And so like that not like someone trying to communicate with you, but you don't understand. And it's not that they're keeping anything from you. It's just that it isn't made for you. It, like that works really well in the game, and he like mimics that feeling really well, I think.
Just as a quick aside, there's an interesting generational thing here where I basically have never read a game manual.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah,
literally just trash. It's just trash to me.
Yeah.
It's a waste of skin.
Well, it'd be like
I've definitely poked around a little bit, but yeah, I just.
With like epilepsy warnings or something, like,
right?
Or
right.
like an advertisement.
Or the controls, which I was like, I'm a gamer. I know how to play this game.
Yeah.
The only thing I ever did was look at the back of the game, the CD case for Metal Gear Solid.
Oh,
which actually I'm pretty sure I had a rental copy, so I couldn't even do that. Someone had to tell me what it was. Anyways, I just wanted to.
That is interesting. I mean,
point out that I'm young.
Yeah, it's definitely a dated thing that doesn't really exist anymore. But I mean, did it still work for you, Danny? Though, like, did you enjoy finding the pages and like having to look through it in the game?
Yeah, I mean, it was still cool. It was. I mean, I guess I didn't have a nostalgia factor attached to it, but I did feel like I was reading a game manual, and it felt like a nod to video game manuals in the world of video game packaging. And I definitely thought it was cool. And especially it's beautiful that like it's the calligraphy and the paper look to it all. The ink, the way it looks like ink is, I did really enjoy looking at it.
Yeah. The care on how it looks and feels, I think was like really tremendous. And it also
some of it is so funny though, like it'll show it shows the animation of you rolling, and it's like low stamina bar, like I will hurt more, or it's like all this funny,
I'm tired, I will hurt, or something like that.
Yeah. It's like I was like, what? Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and I like how it shows in the roll like your iframes, your invulnerability frames. Like it just shows like it's like a meter, and it just shows like in this section, like iframes, and then like it shows him tumbling forward in the rest of the roll. Look for the dust.
Look for the dust.
I think an important thing, and this comes up in the No Clip documentary, or I guess the No Clip short, is that I think Schulteis is he's a speedrunner, and apparently he's big in the Celeste speedrunning community.
Oh,
and so there's kind of like this language that comes across in the manual, right? Like showing your iframes, and this kind of like, I don't know what the description is, but it's really the speedrunning world and language and way of looking at games that comes through, I think, in this. And you hear them talk about the way they set up areas and set up certain things to be like speedrunner friendly, that you can figure out how to skip this part or clip through this. And I feel like that kind of framing comes through in a lot of places in the game, and especially in the manual in particular, right?
Where in the manual? I mean, there's speedrunning stuff very obvious in the game. Like once I watched a speedrun, I was like, oh, of course they're like getting that first so they can do this and this. But in the manual, what was in the manual that was like that?
Well, I guess I just mean like this example of the of showing you when you're invulnerable, which I feel like, I don't know, I'm thinking about Bloodborne, another game that has invulnerability frames.
Yeah.
I guess that it's never explained to you, right? This is just how you dodge attacks, whatever that means. That's kind of like the way it lays it out so clearly. It feels like this is and again, it feels like this is a game manual for people who see games in this way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think
I don't think it's not.
I mean, I think if you
overt,
dodge
but
and you're invincible would be like a way a normal person might say it. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Do they say invulnerability frames in the manual?
It literally says like iframes or something like that.
Okay. Then yeah, I think that's right. It's like a sort of like a gamer language as opposed to like most people I feel like
wouldn't know what that means.
Yeah.
No one I know knows what an iframe is, like outside of our Discord.
I mean,
like
if
you
you
guys
asked me, I don't think I would have known.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
can we just move on?
Yeah, moving on. I mean, yeah, the Zelda. Every like review podcast, everything I heard was just Zelda, and I think that's because the early part of the game, and even some of the like dungeony type of parts of the game, very much feel like 80s Zelda or like early 90s Zelda games, where not just like, well, everything about it really. I mean, you're a little dude, you're wearing a green tunic just like Link, your sword looks like Link's, your shield looks like Link's. The rhythm of the game of like you discover an area but it's kind of gated, and then you get an item that lets you get through whatever the gate is, and now it's like, holy shit, I can go anywhere now, and I have to go back to where I was because I can like do so many more things now. To me, that's what felt like the most Zelda-y to me.
Yeah, I think you start with your first item is a stick.
Yeah, branch.
Yeah, branch. That's classic Zelda, and then you get a sword to replace your stick.
And then you got a blue and red shield.
Yeah.
You literally get the Hyrulean shield.
It looks like his shield, exactly.
Yeah, and then I think, like pretty... I feel like the game doesn't really rely on the mechanics of the items you find, whereas Zelda really does. It really relies on like, okay, you can't get, like you were saying, you can't get through this area unless you get the grappling hook.
Right.
And there is like one or two moments like this in the game, but I think for the most part the game is literally just like explore this area and eventually you'll find the way through.
Yep.
Or you'll find a bunch of secrets. But yeah, I think it's usually like you just got to find the path and you got to open the right door or whatever. And pretty soon I realized like, or I felt like, oh wait, this isn't really like Zelda. Like there were a couple shortcuts I opened and I was like, this is just very similar to Dark Souls.
Yes.
And like the way you rest at a statue with a fire, and when you do, all the enemies respawn. When you die,
shortcuts stay.
But the shortcuts stay. And the fastest way to get through that area again is just to run past all the enemies.
Yep. Classic Souls.
Yeah, and so I was actually wondering as I was playing this, I was like, Alon. I was like, okay, Alon's gonna love Tunic because it's like Zelda. And then after like 2 hours, I was like, oh no, Alon's gonna hate Tunic. And then I was like,
it's all about me, baby.
And then I was like, well, if I don't say anything, he won't realize that it's like Bloodborne.
I realized.
So, but this game worked for you.
Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved this game. And obviously, for those who listen, Bloodborne didn't work for me.
So, could you compare like some of the like level traversing combat, like just like having to explore every nook and cranny of a level, nothing very obvious happening?
Yeah, I should have probably thought about this way more because I think this is like a big talking point of the game. But when I just the first thing that I immediately thought of while you were talking was the isometric view that we were talking about. It's just so much easier to see. It's just so much easier to familiarize yourself with an area, to not get cheesed out of every single corner of every single area, to remember how to get back to a shortcut and to, get back to where you were after you die. But also the enemies are a lot easier. I mean, the basic mobs are very easy, I found, in this game for the most part. The bosses are hard, which is similar to, Bloodborne, but, well, sorta. But the enemies are really easy, so you don't get into a loop of like, okay, I'm just going to run back to where I was. Oh no, there's a snake guy there, and he just like completely destroys me, and I have to do it all over again. But also, like, it doesn't really matter in this game if you like go back to your body to get your 20 coins back. Whereas it feels so bad in Bloodborne when you lose 20,000 souls and you don't make it back. It's just like, I just literally lost 2 hours or more, 5 hours, and for nothing. There's no gain. Whereas in this game, you keep almost everything you have minus like 20 coins or something like that. So it's a lot less punishing, I think, also when you do die. And there's save points all over the place. There's checkpoints all over the place. The one time I reached the quarry I basically got to the quarry before I was supposed to, through like an entrance that I wasn't supposed to. And I was just like getting completely fucked, and there were no checkpoints anywhere near there. And that's like the first time, actually the only time really for me, that this game felt like a Soulslike, in the sense of just like, fuck this. This is so bad. This is such bad design. I have to run for like 10 minutes to get back to the quarry. And then the quarry is like literally impossible, and you have 1 HP and everything one-shots you. And I was like, yeah, now it's a Soulslike because this is a piece of shit. But then it turns out I was just in a wrong area anyway, and there is a checkpoint if you go into the quarry from the other direction, and it's a lot more nice and fun.
So wait, you were fighting the quarry from the top of the mountain?
Yeah.
So yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that I also went to the quarry too early.
It
also
happened
ran into it so many times.
Yeah.
But I was going to say that this game, I think it intentionally pulls a lot of the frustration or difficulty out of the Souls-like aspect of it. There's a game difficulty. I'm pretty sure there's a setting you can just be invincible and just run through the game, right?
There is.
And it's like one of the 3 things on the menu when you open it. And tons of checkpoints, though there's no travel between the checkpoints, which was, I don't know, it's just it's interesting, the making the combat less frustrating, but for me making navigating the world more frustrating. Because I had a lot of trouble, like I was getting lost a lot.
Oh, interesting.
Even though it's just interesting to hear the isometric view helped you and keep it kind of squared. I just found that each area, it feels like everything looks so similar that I really had all the time I just found myself running around in circles trying to figure out. And I think it's also just the layout of the game and the secret alleyways that aren't visible. And so to remember it, you have to remember not the alleyway, you have to remember that you couldn't see it, while you were there.
That was such a frustrating thing to me. It's like, I can see where I need to go. I've done it 2 other times, and I can't remember how I did it. And I have to retrace my step in this area. And we talked about this a little bit, but when I beat the game, and it's like, okay, now you have to replay the game again, sort of, to unlock a new ability. I was like, I can't. Like, I already beat this area. I don't want to relearn it again. And I tried a little bit to like reinvest, and I was just like, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. And I can't. I don't know. Maybe I'm just I have a bad memory or I'm bad at games or something, but it was...
No, I mean, we both know that is not the case. But one thing I was going to also add while you guys are talking is like the game manual also has maps of like the overworld, the large areas, any dungeons, all that stuff, which obviously Bloodborne doesn't have any maps or anything like that. And I reference them all the time. I was pulling out my manual all the time when I was like in certain areas or looking for something specific or, and I was using the teleporting also all the time to get to areas faster. So,
but it doesn't show you where you are on the map, right?
It does.
If you're in an area,
I didn't realize
there's a little fox. There's a little fox icon.
I guess that's just how lost I was that I just thought the fox was just a drawing on the map.
Well, it is. Well, there is, and that's the other thing. There is. So, like the save point.
There's like a little circle. There's like little circles, right? That
that's
I thought
the
were
save
for
point.
a while, but that's a save point. Yeah,
that's a save point.
I was like, oh, that's where I am. And then I was like, wait, no, that's not where I am. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm not on the map. And then like later on, I went to reference the map, and I was like, oh, I am here. I am on this map.
The thing about it though is that looking at the map, there are lots of. I would like try to use the map and be like, oh, there's a I can actually see this route that goes back behind the waterfall and then up to the top of the mountain, and then you'd go and you can't access it from this side, right? So the map. I found myself being like, well, the map is useless, but I
wow,
and
it's such a different experience.
I know it's very interesting, but I found the map to not be that helpful just because you lose a lot of the fidelity of the smaller areas within each section. In the underground, like in the underground stuff, it's like easier because there's not as much wandering. But especially in the overworld, it's tough.
Right. I'm like, okay, I need to like accomplish this map traversing goal. So I'm on the main map. Then I get to a smaller area. I'm trying to find a hero's grave. But now the main map is useless. And I need to find the specific section in the booklet where the area I'm in has the map for that. And it's like 7 pages forward. And it's like, oh, wait, no, that's the wrong one. Now I have to go back 14 pages the other way to find the correct map I need to look at. And it's like, in a normal game, you'd open your map and it would have everything you need to know. And you could zoom in if you wanted to look closer. Like, even like...
you can zoom in.
That's true.
Yeah, you can zoom in, but you can't zoom in on it doesn't show you everything map and then zoom in on your area, right? If you want to go to your area.
There's no everything map unless you're in the overworld.
Yeah, and so all these things are like really coming up against me traversing the world in a way that is satisfying. It's like, okay, I can see where I need to get to. I look at the map. Like Danny said, the shortcut actually doesn't exist. It's just like some weird thing that's happening with perspective on the map. Then it's like, okay, you go to your new area. Now you have to find the new map that actually you want to be on. And the thing with the teleporter is you don't know which teleport takes you to what area until you find that page, like maybe 2/3 of the way through the game for me. And so I'm literally like teleporting to a new area. You teleport to the overworld teleport area.
Yeah.
Then you have teleport to where you want to go. Turns out that's not where you want to be. So you have to teleport back, then go to the other one. You're like, okay, hopefully you got it right that time. Otherwise you're doing it again. And I was just so frustrated by all that. I was like,
how many hours in, or how long did it take you to understand how to use the teleporters?
Halfway through the game.
Yeah. Okay.
Something like that. Yeah. I mean, the game is sort of like littered with that kind of stuff where which is like you sort of learn loosely by the manual, like how to pray to the monolith things, right? It's like, what? I could have done that the whole time. The game is full of that sensation. But yeah, I don't know. The maps work for me. I don't know what else to say.
We're just done, I think is what it is.
No, it's not the case. I don't know. It's just... I just would get to an area and be like, oh, this is the frog area. And then I would flip to that page and not change the page for the entire time I'm in the frog area. And then I'd get to the quarry and be like, oh, this is the quarry. It says the quarry on the title.
But how would you remember how to, like, where your iframes are if you're only on the Toad page?
That's a really good point, actually. But yeah, I don't know. I think that
it worked
for me.
That makes sense.
I would find the area. then it would say I'm in the quarry, and then I would find the quarry page of the map. And then I would put the map away and be like, okay, I'm going to go explore it until maybe I get lost. And then I would open it and be like, oh, I'm here? I should probably go here. And, and then I would put it back away. That was sort of my rhythm with the map. But yeah, if that didn't work for you, I can understand it being like really confusing and annoying. But that's kind of how I felt with Bloodborne. Was the whole thing was confusing and annoying, and there's no map.
Well, it's certainly not as infuriating as the like Forbidden Forest in Bloodborne, where it's I just spend all this time running around and dying. So it's definitely a more minor quibble. I think it just stands out in a game that feels, I don't want to say easy, but kind of low stress. I found having that kind of cumbersome experience, which maybe is unique to our genes, is a strength. It pulls me out, I guess. But it was not a big gripe of mine.
It is interesting that like
the fucking fox is my big gripe.
It's interesting because one of the things that the creator was saying about the game in an interview I listened to is like, he wanted to like go back to an era where you're just dumped into a world and you don't know what's expected of you, and you don't know what's out there, and you don't know the rules of the world, and maybe you have a manual, but maybe you don't even understand it because it's in a different language, or because you're 5 years old and you don't even know what the words are yet. But like that is definitely an intersection of early games, not just Zelda, but early games and Dark Souls games. I had never thought about that when I was playing Bloodborne, but that is totally, I'm sure if you ask whatever his name is, the creator, I'm sure that is like a touchstone for him, right? Like he just loved buying Mario and just being like, okay, I'm just going to run forward because that's what seems like the thing to do. Or like, Zelda, all I know is there's things trying to kill me, but I have no idea what's going on at all. And I think that like both of those genres kind of touch that note, and that's definitely something he's like very intentionally going for. Is why it's sort of Zelda-like and Souls-like for a lot of the game.
This does feel a little underbaked for me, just because, and I would say the same thing about Dark Souls as well, is that you're dropped in the world not really sure what's expected of you, but what is expected of you is just to kill and advance, right? And same thing in Dark Souls, is just literally kill everything except for like 7 NPCs you'll encounter throughout your game. So there is kind of, I don't know. I don't go into this game or this kind of game with much wonder, especially when the lore is kind of just incidental. I don't want to say underdeveloped, but just, it's not a focus for the game, right? This is obviously not a story-driven game, and so in some sense, it is. You are kind of dropped in. You're like, I'm a fox in the woods / mystical ethereal realm, and I'm trying to avenge my hot mom or something, and then like, but then like you. But then ultimately, you're just killing everything you see and throwing fireworks at it. It just felt like I didn't find myself in awe. I was definitely wondering what was going on, but not in a way that particularly got me going, I guess.
Yeah, the second half of the game. Well, it's hard to even call it the second half of the game. Like,
you're right.
After you beat the game section of the game is where I mostly felt all of those things of being like, oh, I'm into the story now. Oh, like I kind of finally see and understand what I'm supposed to do, and this is really cool. And every time it turns really heavily into a puzzle game. At that stage, you can just kill everything. Like nothing is no enemy is even like, a remote threat. And at that part of the game, you're just solving puzzles. And I felt that like the discovering of that puzzle section of the game and solving each individual puzzle was so satisfying and like so rewarding. And like probably I haven't played that many puzzle games in my life, but like probably best puzzles I've ever played or seen in a game, in my opinion. So Yeah.
So let's put a pin in that because I want to get to this at the end. But I think even before then, I definitely felt this way when I first started playing. I was like, it's a dumb indie game that looks kind of good, that's made in Unity, but actually it's like not that special at all.
It looks kind of good and kind of bad.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you play as a cute fox. Like what idiot hasn't thought of this?
Yeah.
And like this will sell great on Kotaku. Like people are going to go lose their shit for this. And you get the stick and I'm like, okay, I got the stick. Now I'm going to get the sword and then I'm going to kill some people. And then you're like, okay, I got the town. I see the town on the map. And you're like, okay, there's going to be a shop here. And you go into the shop.
Oh my God.
There's nothing in it. It's empty, right? There, you do find a shop later, which is like the ghost. There's like a ghost shopkeeper.
I love the shopkeeper.
Yeah. Which I loved. Yeah. But when you first go into like the town, when you unlock that door and you go into the shop and it's just like a bunch of destroyed pots and like this is the remnants of a shop with like one single chest you can open, I was like, oh, like something bad happened in this world.
Yeah.
And like there isn't going to be a town with like a shopkeeper. And something weird is going on in this game. And then you find the shop and it's like a giant dead ghost fox who's like selling you shit.
With like psycho music going on, like so cool and like futuristic almost. Yeah.
And then you get out of like the main like mountain area where everything's like rivers and grass. Like when you go to the library and like it's golden and there's all these tomes everywhere and there's these like weird electrical appliances, and then later on you find out that like then you start praying to obelisks and you're like, okay, whatever, I just kind of like activate them and send them underground. But then actually it turns out that each obelisk contains like a ghost void fox.
Yeah, Mewtwo.
Like, right. That's like imprisoned in it. And you're like that realization, like, you know, I think at that point you're like, okay, something really fucked up is going on in this world.
I loved it.
Even before that, I was just like, wow, I'm uncovering all these like weird, dark, deeper levels of this lore. And what I thought was this like dumb, cheesy game about a fox is actually like very scary and sad. And I thought quite a bit about like coming up with my own theories and like what's going on in this world, and I didn't really like land on anything that I liked, but I did think a lot about like, okay, all this is happening at the same time, and actually you are the heir who's like sent him a version of himself into the future, and everybody knows what's going to happen, and like it's basically like a like 12 Monkeys or Terminator or something. You're gonna like send yourself into the time loop over and over again. But I don't know. I just thought the by the end of the game, he's done so much with the world building that there's so many opportunities for you to vision a story, or just be filled with wonder about what's actually going on in the world.
Well, I think just to clarify what I was getting at before, I'm not sure that you're responding directly to it. It's just that not so much that the game feels one dimensional, more that the options for what you do are the game. It's like what you do, your experience playing it until the second phase is like very straightforward, I guess is what I meant.
I think this is a perennial. I was going to say this at the beginning of my rant, which is a perennial problem in games is the way you interact with it is killing things in it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Right,
exactly.
Right.
But there's no blitzball in this game is really what I'm trying to say. But yeah, obviously the setting is. I feel like it's really what keeps you into it. Like when I rang the first bell tower, I was like,
"Oh my god!"
I was like this. Or when I took one of the portals the first time. It felt like seeing chaos in Hades. I was kind of like, okay,
that's a really good comp. Yeah, I mean, all of that, I totally agree. Like, I had the exact same sensation as you did, Teddy, when I first opened the game. I was just like, this game looks like shit. Like, I'm not down. I don't think this is cute. Think it looks terrible. So blocky, geometric, like, but then there's like all of these little moments where like the graphics are all of a sudden like really cool and like the sound effects are really powerful. It's like the first time you open the golden door and you're like walking in space and you see like your trapped mom or something, I was just like, holy shit, like this is crazy,
Sealed forever.
Yeah, like there were all of these little things, like, and the examples that you guys both brought up where I was just like, no, actually this game is fucking sick. And it's just like hiding it's under a veil of we made an indie Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's totally, and the reason at the very beginning that I brought up that's what everyone writes about and talks about is because I feel like no one beat the game. Like no one actually played the game. It's like people watched the trailer for the movie and then did a podcast about the movie. Because every single person is just like, yeah, this game's just like basically Zelda, and like, yeah, it's like well made. It's like a pretty cute game. And I'm like, what? Like, that's it. Like, there's so much. That's what kept bringing me back to the game is that sensation of like, there's so much more there. There's actually like a humongous world, even though it feels like a really small little world. And there is a story, even though it feels like there won't be a story. And there is like so much depth and more to the game than more than meets the eye.
Well, I feel like it has a gilded layer of Zelda to it. It doesn't really remind me of Ocarina of Time or Wind Waker. So it is a strange thing that everyone's like, this is like Zelda.
It's like Link to the Past, right?
It's the really old Zelda.
Right.
It's not even
that's
one.
True. That's true.
It's Legend of Zelda is like the key one. Where
I guess I've never actually played anything before Ocarina of Time, so I wouldn't know. But
I probably played Legend of Zelda when I was like 4 or something like that. Like maybe 3. Like honestly, like we had an NES, we had the game. I have 2 older brothers who probably played it or showed me it, and I had absolutely no fucking idea what was going on. It's really old.
I was -6 at that point.
So are 45-year-olds reviewing this game and saying it's like Zelda? Like, why are people saying it's like Zelda?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Danny, you have that's a good point. Like,
it's a really good point. Because it's not like any Zelda game that's come out for 25 years.
And also, it's definitely, it's like Twilight Princess. It's like the Wii one, for sure.
And it's like, if you ask any like current contemporary gamer what a Zelda's like, they're all going to think of Breath of the Wild, which is like the best-selling, most popular Zelda game of all time, right? And I don't know.
Somebody like buying this for their like partner, being like, "I heard it's like Zelda," and they're like,
"You loved Breath of the Wild."
This looks kind of different.
Yeah. It's like, why is this like 2D?
It is like Dark Souls, though. It does play like Dark Souls. That's definitely true.
So, it is.
But I was just thinking about that. Zelda just obviously is going to come up the whole podcast. But I was just like, this doesn't remind me of Lon Lon Ranch at all.
I mean, I was listening
and that's Zelda.
I was listening to Insert Credit, which is a podcast that Bacon loves and told me about, and I was listening to their Game of the Year episode, and so when Elden Ring came out, they were all like fucking screaming, like literally just like, "Oh, Elden Ring!" Like, well, because like they all just have it number one best game. And then one of the guys didn't like it. He was like, I can tell that it's like a good, well-made game, but like nothing about it reeled me in. I played it for a couple hours and I'll probably just never pick it up again. And I thought that the response to him was really interesting because it wasn't a negative response. They weren't like, "Oh, what the fuck?" They were all just like kind of pushing it in different ways. And what they settled on basically was, I think that you just need to watch some of this video to explain the lore in the world. Then you need to watch some of this video to figure out a rough build path that would be good to start on. And then you need to watch some of this video for like I don't even remember the third thing of and then reopen the game and play for a little. And if you're not into it, then stop. And it was funny because I was in the middle of Tunic when I was listening to that. And I was like, God, that sucks. I was like, that fucking really sucks to have a 10 hours of prerequisite YouTube video before you can know if you like or dislike a game properly. I was like, thank God that Tunic just is a Souls-like in air quotes, but there's no fucking build path. It's just whenever you can upgrade, you upgrade. And there's no like, you know what I mean? There's no, like, the boss fights are still hard. It doesn't have to be this sort of like mountain to climb to even get into a game to have the boss fights be hard and satisfying. And the only choice you really make is like, well, it's like your skill of obviously controlling it, but then it's just like, what weapon/item are you going to go into the boss fight with? And that's really it in terms of like build path. And it just felt, I don't know, it just felt eye-opening listening to that. And then while I'm playing Tunic and just being like, this is so much more my kind of game. Like, I'm just so much more interested in this, where I feel like I'm getting all the satisfaction that I was supposed to get in Bloodborne, but without any of the like pain in the ass stuff. I don't know.
I think everything I just articulated about uncovering a deeper level of the game is like sort of what I said about Bloodborne, and definitely how I feel about Bloodborne. Right? It's like, oh, this is like we've talked about. It's like, oh, it's not actually a Victorian game about werewolves. It's like actually they're like demons in the world that are like from an alternate universe, and they're aliens. And this game is like really fucked up. And Tunic accomplishes that.
Yes,
and in 1/10 the time and frustration level.
Right. Exactly.
And I really do think like playing it, I was like, wow, I really do feel like Souls heads, like Miyazaki needs to play this. Just like that you can do this without so much of the bullshit. And it's really satisfying that this experience exists for people to like really get a nice taste of it all.
Yeah.
If you guys want to jump in, you can.
I was just gonna say, like, that quote that I had on the Bloodborne episode where a guy was like missing the long loading times, right? Yeah. Like that my takeaway from that article is just Stockholm syndrome is crazy. Like Stockholm syndrome will make you believe things that are just definitely wrong, you know?
So some of the frustrating things that I think actually carry over from Bloodborne were still, this is still a big mistake. So one, the resources are really limited. And I often wanted to use them in fights that were hard, but I never did because I didn't want to waste them. One problem I had with the game is the shop was really expensive. So like I bought, like if you want to buy another potion, like your third potion from the shop or something, it's like 1,000 coins, which I never ever had. I never had 1,000 coins. I like saved up for a long time, never got it. And then I bought some like.
Are you talking about your third healing potion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the shop.
Was it is that what it was?
Yeah, it's about 1,000, and a coin is like
999.
999. Yeah.
I feel like I had 3 health potions really early on.
Well,
there's other ways to get them. You find the pieces of a health potion, and when you find 3, then it gives you another health potion. But you could also buy additional ones in the store. But
so your first health potion is like 100. I think your second potion is like 500. And your third one's like 1,000. But your coin is like, if you want to buy a coin from the shop, or it's like your second coin or something, it's like 999 coins, which I never had again.
Yeah,
so
I just didn't run by enemies, so I had it.
Well, I mean, I didn't run by enemies. I was killing everybody, and I was even farming a little bit, and then I bought some leaf, which I was like, oh, this is like a thing that upgrades my stats.
That's what I thought. I did that too.
And it's like 400 coins or something.
I did that too.
And I was like, okay, whatever. It's worth it. No problem. Like, it'll upgrade my health. And then I like get to the thing. It's like, you can't upgrade it because actually it's a thing that boosts your attack for like 10 seconds. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And so like, I kind of like the whole like mystery of what every item does, but this is a problem I have with a lot of these games in general is the stakes are high, and this like the currency stake is high for like buying stuff, messing around with things. Like do I want to use a freezing potion in this fight? Like, maybe I need them for later. I only have 6, and to buy more is like 250 coins. Like, so I didn't experiment until like towards the very end of the game with any of the items, and I could have, I guess, but it was like, I feel like the game taught me not to, or
I totally
scared me
that.
away from it. And it felt very Bloodborne of like, or Souls, like, don't use any of the items in your inventory because who knows what they're worth or how you might use them later, or you don't know what they do. So what are you going to do? Die while you're on a boss fight or something when you're really close to the end?
I'm sure this would be controversial, but I enjoy the combat in Bloodborne, and so grinding certain areas was never that heavy for me. Whereas trying to grind coins in this on mobs, it's like, I don't know, most of the mobs, especially early, it's just like
one coin.
There's like nothing there. Well, first of all, there's no coins, and it's just no. You could have your eyes closed and kill most of them, and
you can't grind for coins. Like the game, like they don't give you enough. You literally have to fight like 1,000 guys.
Yeah, I think because I bought coin, I bought a health potion, I bought bombs, I bought mana regen berries a bunch of times. So I spent like 3,500 coins. Probably,
I actually had a lot of money too, but
I think most of it was like treasure chests, I guess. Like just finding tons and tons and tons of chests because there's infinite secrets in this game. I really think that like every time I think I've like checked every corner of every part of a room or something, there's a whole nother area and treasure chests and a puzzle and something else to discover. So I think that's where I got like most of my coins.
I mean, the biggest problem I had with economics in this game, the economics of this game, is I did not understand the progression at all. So I got to the ghost shopkeeper in the windmill, and I forget if there's more than one thing for sale when you first get there.
I don't remember.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there are a couple things, but you can only buy one of 2 of them, and then it's just the bombs. And
you spent all your money on the candy cane bombs, which are...
I was literally just like, well, I guess I'll just buy 20 of these because I have the money. So, and then when I figured out how you level up your stats, I had no money to spend. I was like,
oh yeah, and I forgot even about leveling up. I spent 10,000 coins in this game,
dude. I fucked up. The UI fucked me up so much. I used the first time I got my freezing potions, I used both by accident, trying to equip my sword because I accidentally unequipped my sword and then I had gotten attacked a bunch of times, tried to put it back on, then threw a bunch of shit. I was like, God damn it. It's like, oh, this cool new blue ice potion thing.
This is very Soulslike sounding, by the way.
Oh yeah,
it's
totally.
like the game totally
I can't equip
fucking
anything.
You over. I can't equip. Don't know
L1
what anything means.
L1 to open your inventory. That's I feel like that's on par with.
Oh, that was bad.
That felt on par with having to like open specifically the inventory section of the menu in Bloodborne to equip. Felt like this game's version,
Yeah, but no, you can't put the menu on L1. That was I was like, this needs to change immediately.
Your trigger, your trigger finger is too hot.
But yeah, no, I think most money has to come from the treasure chest.
The cards also was hard.
Yeah, I mean, I just had some on, but I still am not even that sure what any of them do.
The only one I really knew until I looked them up, which I looked up basically at the end of the game, what they did, because I was like, I don't want to look anything in this game up.
Yeah.
It was like for the final bosses, I kind of wanted to know how to like build my character. The only one I knew was like you can turn your health potions into
mana potions.
Yeah.
There's a few I knew. There's one when you equip it, your health just immediately goes to 1. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then when you swing your sword, it's on fire.
Right, so you get the damage bonus, right?
Yeah, and you fucking shred everyone. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But
it's very fighting game style.
When you discover some stuff, and I don't really have a concrete example of this, but when you discover some stuff in the game while playing it, it translates in the manual.
Yeah. Do you know
Yes,
what those?
yes.
Do you know what those events are that translate?
No, but
text?
when I looked at my manual, so the late game, you're just living in the manual, and I had on my page that explains a bunch of the ability cards. I had like 8 of them just in English, what they do. So I figured that like, yeah, I probably equipped those earlier and they were probably written in a different language and I couldn't tell what was happening. So I just unequipped it or something. And then like, I think it translated that maybe by putting it on.
It seemed to be like a usage thing that translates it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But though I don't feel like that's true 100% of the time, but
no,
it's true most enough that it seems it was fairly predictive. This feels like I feel like it's like Einstein, you know.
How?
Just like this is mostly right, and it's very predictive of certain things, but it is not. It's definitely not right.
As he famously said.
In the wise words of Albert Einstein.
What are you talking about? What did he say? What did he say was not right? Are you talking about quantum entanglement?
He never said. I'm not saying what he said.
You're saying other people don't like
other
it?
people. Yeah. It's not about like or don't like. This is science I'm talking about. No, I just mean that like this is maybe Newtonian physics is a better example where like this is very predictive, like mostly accurate for most things, most applications, gets us to building skyscrapers. But if you want to explore the cosmos, it's not enough. If you want to explore the cosmos of the manual, it's not enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but,
I'm gonna go to bed.
I never got to the Newtonian understanding of the manual. I couldn't figure out what did what. I was like, okay, I know what some things are now. I don't know why. Some things are now in English. But it's okay. I didn't care in the end that much.
Yeah, in the end, I didn't really care. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter.
What about since you're a couple Souls boys, what do you think about the fact that there's a setting that you just can't lose and can't die? No fail mode, I think it's called. And you don't lose stamina and you can't die and you can just get through the game. Like Dark Souls, everyone says it's supposed to be hard. That's part of the game. You're a fucking fucker if it's not hard. I don't know, whatever. What do you guys think about that in this game?
I don't really get it. Why it's in the game.
It's so you can, it's an easy mode, right?
Yeah, I guess I just don't understand why you wouldn't just watch. I guess you get to explore. No, I do literally understand why, but like, I just, yeah, I don't know. I found it strange. It doesn't bother me. Like, I feel like I would be uncomfortable if Bloodborne, they added in a no damage mode or a god mode, but for this, it doesn't feel like I didn't get my like testosterone rage of like trying to be better and push myself and get better at the game. You know what I mean? So it didn't really affect my experience at all.
I wanted to turn this mode on in Sekiro. I wanted to turn it on in Souls. I wanted to turn it on in Bloodborne. And that I quit Sekiro when I got to the final boss. I was like, this game.
Oh, wow.
I was like, this game fucking sucks. I was like, I've been playing it for so long. I cannot learn another boss fight. Also, like, it's a game about samurais, and now the boss has a gun and he shoots you. It's like, what the fuck is this?
That's how I felt about the Divine Dragon and Sekiro, for the record, but go on.
But I picked up Sekiro like 6 months later. Yeah, everyone has this experience, and I spent like one Saturday just like, I am going to do this. And I just relearned how to play the game, learned this one boss fight. It was like literally a whole game. It was like a new game experience for me. Yeah, I just like learned this one section of the game, and I beat him, and I literally countered everything perfectly. I almost took no damage the entire fight. When I finally beat him, I was like, I know every single thing about this guy, and I destroyed him. And I was like, this is fucking incredible. Like, I am so good at games. Fuck this guy. Like, I'm literally an artist. And it was such an awesome feeling.
You're like Neo blocking the guy with one hand.
Exactly.
Just like, this is
watching
boring.
myself.
It's too easy. Yeah.
Like, I'm making that meme after this.
Yeah, that's the clip.
And but the thing is, the joke, of course, is that I'm not special, right? Everybody, like, people are able to beat this game, but you are able to feel like that. And I do think, I think a lot of people say, I think, is it in the accessibility option where you change this? I don't know if we've talked about this elsewhere. Yeah, but people say like these.
I don't think
games,
I don't think it's in an accessibility submenu.
Okay, I didn't actually turn it on.
I'm pretty sure the no fail mode is in accessibility options, and
maybe no fail is, but it's difficulty not.
Yeah, I think that might be right.
Maybe that's what it is. I'm looking right now,
and people talk about how this is an accessibility issue and people can't play this game, which I think is a reasonable complaint. But there is something to be said, I think, for something that asks a high level of competency or fluency in games that you have to achieve in order to see it through. And I think that's true with books that use big words. Something that I think we talked in our preliminary discussion was like puzzle games are never talked about like this.
As nobody ever hard.
Nobody ever says this puzzle game is like inaccessible to dumb people. Right? Like, this is not fair. All the puzzles should have like an easy option. Wait, what was the thing you said, Alon? It was like, there should be a shooting mode.
Yeah, like you should be able to play Myst with a gun. Like, that's easy mode. It's action mode. Every puzzle's solved and you just have a gun.
Yeah, it's not no fail mode, it's action mode. Oh, that's so good.
I'm just imagining a bunch of like dumb jock football players playing The Witness on action mode.
Yeah, exactly.
Shooting panels.
Right, and so that is the special part of it. And not every game is for everybody, and that's okay, but he wanted to make a game that people could see the world, even if they didn't beat the bosses, right? They could see more of the lore. It's, for him, maybe the game he's trying to create isn't about can you beat the boss. It is after you beat the boss, you see this new part of the game, right? And that's it. One thing I feel free to stop me. I feel like I've been going on for a while, but one thing I did was I was kind of getting tired of the game. I think what's this guy's name? I only read it G Bayman Truther.
Oh, Gbamin Truther.
Yeah. You guys will have to tell me about that later.
No problem.
But I'm Boomer here. G Bayman Truther. He was saying that he just like was kind of done with the game, so he like put it on no fail mode because he was kind of getting frustrated.
Yeah.
Which I think is totally fair. To it's in there for a reason. But one thing I did for the bosses was I wanted to learn the parry system, which
oh my God.
I didn't realize
so
until
hard.
halfway through the game was in it.
It's
but
so hard.
Yep.
Rather than like die over and over again, which was what I was doing, I just like turned on no fail mode and then went into the fight and just practiced and learned all their moves, and then quit and then went back to the fight in normal mode and fought them like for real.
And
I thought that was like and fucked them up. And I thought that was like a really because you do that in a lot of these other games like Bloodborne or whatever, but there's just like all this bullshit in between you learning and beating them, which is like running back to the area, loading screens. So it was nice to just spend like 5 minutes sparring
really
with the
nice.
boss and then getting it wired. Yeah. But on that note, was there, I think McKill was wondering what our favorite boss was. What did you guys think of the boss fights in general, and did you have a favorite one? Because those were the hardest parts, right? I feel like the game wasn't really hard otherwise.
I agree.
Well, I think this is a strange thing,
Danny.
Yeah, I just think this is a strange thing about the game is that the boss fights and the mob combat has like almost nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I mean, maybe that's true of other games too. I don't know. I guess kind of like you get some experience with like the ranged and the aerial mobs and that, because I feel like the boss fights, like the librarian, so if you get lots of like moments where you're like they're untargetable with melees, but I thought they were fun. I think, I don't know, it's just hard for me to go from Vicar Amelia and this like scale and music and experience to this kind of game and a boss fight, and to feel like I felt like I was satisfied by it. They were challenging and fun for sure, but didn't particularly wow me, I guess I would say.
Was there a boss fight that you liked for any particular reason?
I just think the librarian fight has like that feeling the most. Like you're on top of this
climbing the tower.
Yeah, you're on top of this like swirling background, and she's like flying off screen, flying off of it and then flying back on and stuff. So I think that one, and her weapon is cool, it's beautiful. So, but yeah, I mean, I think they're all very interesting.
I think that I agree with you on the climbing sort of cinematic camera swings and stuff. Like one thing about having like this locked isometric camera that is sometimes confusing and sometimes cool and sometimes MC-escher and weird, but you sort of learn it, is that like whenever it breaks, I found those moments to be like stunning. Like the first time you're like running into the quarry, I remember it, like all of a sudden you're just side view and really, really wide, and you just see this like miasma purple like hell, and I was just like holy shit, this area is so fucking sick.
Yeah,
exactly. When you're climbing the librarian, you're really zoomed out, and it's just like, oh my god, this is fucking epic. I thought the bosses were all fun. I mean, I thought that I definitely died to all of them, well, except for the siege engine, which I just ran in circles for the entire time, which was really funny. But I died to the librarian, the scavenger, the heir, even the guard knight multiple times before figuring them out, which again felt Souls-like, and I got more satisfaction out of beating them than I did in Bloodborne, any of the bosses in Bloodborne, which is, I don't really know why, but it felt that way to me. I think, again, I felt like with some of the really, really giant monsters in Bloodborne, I just can't even like see what's going on. Like it just jumps and I don't know where the attack's coming from, and I'm just blind rolling and just sort of like blind timing it out because I think this is when it's gonna hit, but I can't tell. But like it's very clear with the librarian, right? Like anytime they're swinging their sword or shooting something at you, it's like, oh, I could have dodged that. Like, oh fuck, like that move I'll remember next time when they do that, like I can dodge this way instead of that way, or you know what I mean? It felt more fair in a way, I think. And part of that is just, visually for me and the camera. So yeah,
I don't want to like drag on about Bloodborne too much.
Yeah.
Half of this podcast is talking about other games, which I think is really funny, but there's something about, I don't know if this is really why I like those boss fights, but something about like if you had to fight this giant monster, like you can't see what's happening, right? It's just like absolute mayhem, just trying to not get fucking squished. And there's something about that thrill and fear in Bloodborne, and kind of like sprinting away and hearing an attack and rolling and hoping you got the timing right. You knew what attack it was, and like there's the impossibility of it. It's definitely infuriating, and kind of like the game, maybe gameplay wise is not, game design wise is not amazing, but there's something about the experience that is so special. Whereas these boss fights feel very tight, and like I can do exactly what I want to do, and I'm not going to like clip through the wall and get poisoned, and this attack's going to do more damage than it like is supposed to for no reason, or whatever it is. And so I can totally, it's not to disagree with your feeling about these being more satisfying. It's just it's a different, yeah, exactly.
But I think like if if the Garden Knight was 10 times the size, but you had like a wide angle of it, I feel like I would still just much prefer the isometric version of the big monster, because it would still be fucking terrifying and I would be so small and like, barely even, I'd be like a dot on the screen with this huge fucking thing just like raining sword blows on me. But I'd be able to see and be able to learn a lot easier. So, yeah.
I did feel that
was
way.
Big, yeah.
I did feel that way about the Siege Engine. I was like, oh my God, this is a big boss.
That's a big sandwich.
I really wish I clipped my fight with the Siege Engine. It was too fucking funny. I was just running wide circles the whole time. And then I would go in and try and hit it and usually would jump away and dodge my hit. And then I would just start running the circle again. I was like, all right.
Wide flank, dude.
Getting back on the horse.
Yeah, Librarian. It's got to be Librarian. That was definitely the best fight.
So sick. Yeah, so sick. Yeah, what else? What else is going on?
Did you guys fight with L2? Like, did you with lock on? Or
I did a lot. How often
were you
actually
locking on?
Yeah,
I did a
all
lot.
The time.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
The lock on feels better, I think, also just purely camera, right? Like when you lock on in Bloodborne, you feel, or at least I feel like really, really stuck. I'm like, okay, I can see even more of a narrow angle on everything, and you can't even roll. It's just like a shittier dodge. But in this, it just kind of, the camera just sort of tilts up and it's a little bit more close to a top down. But yeah, all of your attacks kind of hit, and like if you're using the grapple hook, it hits. If you're using the rod, it hits. And so, yeah, I think the lock on worked really well.
This is a funny thing, is that in Bloodborne, Teddy used to always tell me to stop locking on when I would play, when I was trying to get through the game. But I lock on constantly in Bloodborne, and I almost never lock on in this game.
Wow.
Which is really strange. Boss fights, I guess, is different. But the funny thing about locking on in this game is also that is so Zelda. I guess the only thing, I guess, like Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker, it's like literally, it's like being transported into those games for a second. When you hold Z to talk to me with Z.
Z, like, yeah. Wow, what a button Z was! Holy shit!
So,
yeah. And then the other big part of this game are the secrets and the puzzles. And again, in that, I'll try and link in the show notes. I don't even really remember what it was from, but it was an interview with Andrew Schuldice, and he was talking about like being young and playing Mario, and there, no text on the screen, no arrows on the screen, no fucking anything, no idea how to do anything or where I am. And then like that first time you push down when you're on a green pipe, and you go down to a secret world that you weren't supposed to go to in Mario. And what he said is, it's like the secret isn't that you can go down that pipe. The joy or whatever is putting a question mark on every pipe you've ever seen or ever will see again. That you might be able to go down it. It's like this idea of learning a truth about the world, that there's somewhere else you can go or something you can get past, and like that cool feeling where, again, the depth, the like undercover depth of this game goes and does so well.
Teddy, do you agree with, or do you feel compelled by that description of like realizing that you can go down some of the pipes?
No.
Okay. I
feel like we're this is Symphony of the Night, right? This is the Symphony of the Night problem. It is, that moment is awesome, but now the problem is that every pipe is a possibility. Now, every pipe is a burden. You are burdened with the knowledge that this pipe could take you to another place, and you have to check it. And
there are no pipes in this game, for those wondering at home.
Spoiler alert.
What is actually nice about this game is that it's not quite like that, right? It's like there's something weird going on in a lot of different places, and it's not always the same thing, right? It's not that every area has an invisible wall that you can blow up with a bomb.
This game does it really well. Yeah.
I'm
not in Castlevania. I swing my weapon at every single wall. And if there's any part of the map that's still black, any pixel of the map that's still black, I feel like I have to go there and check it out and swing at the wall because there could be something there.
Right. If I miss 30 coins in Tunic,
whatever.
It's, not the end of the world if I didn't find that secret. I will say one big frustration for me in games is because I like to find everything is when I can't get to an area because I don't have an ability, and I don't know it's because I don't have an ability.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this chest is on this beach over here. Can I get there somehow? Like, should I try to or not? And I also hate like waiting until like I have everything to then start looking for stuff, because it's like, well, am I going to look now when I can't find 90% of the stuff?
Right.
When do I start doing it? And for me, that's always like just a big like frustration point that there's just no good answer for me anyway.
Yeah, I was talking to Nolan about this too, because of that like post-game puzzle section that I kind of mentioned before that I genuinely love. The one thing that really sucks is like, similarly to what you were just saying, Teddy, it's like, it's all these like these are major spoilers, but it's all these like line puzzles, basically. So you follow paths of things on the D-pad, and that unlocks stuff.
Yeah. Do you want to, Danny? Do you have anything about like general secrets before we talk into the? No. Okay. Yeah.
No, so.
Lay this all out for us, because I don't really know the full details of the end game.
Yeah. So basically, you're using the manual all through the game to try and figure out where to go, try and figure out what to do. And for the most part, you get there, and when you beat the game, which is beating the air, what actually happens is you then become locked in the prison that the fox was locked in. And it's bad. It's just very bad. And you're like, oh, fuck, this world is fucked and this is bad. And then you get the option of, do you want a new game plus, meaning start a new game, but you have some of your items? Or it says like retry, and you have this many pages in your manual left. And I was like, oh, fuck, like I have to retry. Like, obviously there's a better ending because this is very bad. And
I got the bad ending.
You need to like save the world, right? And basically throughout the manual, there's all of these sort of vague references to like the golden path, the holy cross, sharing your wisdom, the secret gathering place, like all of these kind of things that you basically just ignore because they're not really relevant to progressing the game the way that you are progressing when you beat the game the normal way. But there's also this door in the mountains, this like huge door that you can obviously tell is very important. And there's no way to. It's gold, and it's on the top of the biggest mountain in the game. And
the gamer senses are. Only if it was behind a waterfall would it have been more.
Oh my god, that's too Zelda-y. Yeah, it's like, so that's really where like your path sort of begins. Is like, okay, like there's something I need to do here, and on one of the pages that's called Hidden Secrets, there's a little, okay, so something we didn't mention about the manual is that it's also not your manual. This is a previously owned manual that is not made for you and not owned by you. And it has all these scribbles on it. Like someone owned it and was like jotting things down in pen or whatever to like help themselves try and figure out the world, basically. And so one of the scribbles is like a picture of your D-pad, and then one of the things in the manual is like a code. It's like down, right, up, left, up, right, I think. And it shows you like this door. It shows you a fox sitting in front of a door, and it shows you that combination of directions. And what you figure out, and is like amazing eureka moment, is that like the design that's on the door is that path on your D-pad. So it's like you go down, there's a starting point, and it's like a maze. And you go and you just follow the path on your D-pad, and then it opens the door. And so what that opens is then like so much more of the game. There's these secret fairies, amazing puzzles all over the map. They were there the whole time. You've seen them 100 times, but never noticed that it was a puzzle. And now you're like looking for them, and there's like all these incredible puzzles. So not going to go into all of those, but it's fucking awesome. But the main finale, I don't know if I should even spoil it, but is figuring out how to open that door. But the reason I jumped to that from the secrets area is because they are all these line puzzles with movements on the D-pad. And I was saying to Nolan, like, these are the coolest puzzles I've ever played in my life. But when sometimes you get like one of the directions wrong, like I have it right here. I mean, like this is like what my notepad looks like.
Holy shit.
Like, that's what you have to do to beat the game. Like, it's like I'm writing down like up, left, down, left, up, left, down, left, up, right, up, because it's like around a corner of a wall is like where the maze goes, right? So it's like complicated. It's so cool, but sometimes you just miss a left turn or something, and then you're like punching in this 35 like direction sequence on your D-pad, and the door doesn't open, and I'm like, oh my god, kill me, like that's what I thought of when you were saying, Teddy, that like you see an area but you need an item but you don't know that you need an item. Is like discovering and solving the puzzles is god tier, but when you make a mistake and you don't know why is so bad, because you're just like, you're once again lost. Like it being, I don't know, it must be so hard as a game designer, but like being close or on the path to figuring something out and then not figuring it out is like one of the worst feelings in games, I think. Like that's just like, I want to look this up. Like I know I'm there, and like I'm pretty sure I'm doing it right, but it's not working. Is like such a hard thing to balance. But yeah, great fucking second half of the game. Such a surprise.
Inscription-esque.
Yeah, and that was the Nolan quote that he said in our Discord when he joined, was like, it's such an interesting game because at first it looks like Zelda, and then you think it's Dark Souls, but ultimately you realize it's Outer Wilds. And I don't really know what he means by the last part because I didn't play Outer Wilds, but now I feel like I know what he means because I beat the last part, so I don't know.
Do you think it's like The Witness? Because like I think that what The Witness really does well is it's like, oh, it's all these line puzzles. Like it's really basic, like you just move the line in the right order, but then like eventually it's like you're using the environment in like a really in a way you just like didn't think about doing line puzzles. But you are. And when I was reading about it and looking at watching videos, I was like, oh, this really seems like The Witness. And it's like, it is just at bottom a line puzzle, but it's like so much more than that.
I mean, yeah, I've only played a couple hours of The Witness, but yeah, that makes a lot more sense to me than like Fez comparisons. But the solving of the final puzzle, which is opening the golden door at the top of the mountain, ultimately completing your manual and getting the good ending, unreal. Like it happened to me. Like today was the day when I solved it, and I was just like typing to Nolan, like, "Oh my fucking god, so sick."
Okay, can we just like put a big spoiler alert, and can you tell us? Because I don't know what happens.
Okay, so do you guys have the page in the book where you see like the right side of the page is like the door in the mountain, and it's a fox like sitting on the step, and then like the left side of the page is just like a golden sequence of numbers? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
So on the page that's a golden sequence of numbers, there's like a circle at the bottom of it, which is like your starting position, which is basically, the beginning of the puzzle. And then it goes up, and the first number is 12. And what you realize or figure out eventually is that 12 is referring to the page number 12 in the manual. And what you realize is that all of these pages have like little golden paths in them. And you basically flipping to every page to make a path on the door. And it's this. That's the secret. Spoiler alert. Someone can freeze frame there and you have the answer. But that's the path that you have to go on to then open like the lights and music and everything and open the golden door and get the final page of the book. It's so sick.
That's awesome.
And the puzzles are like really like some of them are kind of obvious. It's like, oh, there's like a up, left, up, right in gold on this page. But some of them are fucking crazy and really hard to figure out and amazingly satisfying.
So every page has one?
No, only
just only the ones that are on the
only the ones that are on that.
Right.
Yeah. But that's like more than half the book is on that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. It's really cool. It's like this through line through the book, which again, you've looked at this whole time you've been playing nonstop that you never have noticed ever. And then you start to see on like more than half the pages, there's a path that is golden somewhere. And that path leads to the next page that's on that key. It's just unbelievable.
Genius.
It's
Absolute
so
genius.
cool. It's so cool. And Nolan, to be fair, like I haven't played that many games, especially not puzzle games, but Nolan's played every fucking game ever. And he was also like, yeah, it's like maybe the best puzzle I've ever played.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it's fantastic. Whew.
So what happens when you put when you finish the manual?
Yeah, that's on when you finish the manual. So you get the first page basically. It's like the only missing page that you have. And it says it's like a picture of like the Mama Fox or whatever. whatever that other hero is, and it says like, dear player, you've come a long way, like blah blah blah, but there's like, congrats on finding on the final page of the manual, like you should pay a visit to a certain someone and share your wisdom with them. So you go back to the air and you press X on them again, except this time she doesn't attack you. You share the manual with her and she like gets her life back, and she's also wearing a green tunic. And then the credits roll, and it's you and her like dancing in every location.
Amazing.
It's so sick, dude. It's so sick. And there's also, I should say, there's a million other secrets in this game that are optional that I haven't even done yet.
Right. Wow. A lot.
Yeah, man.
The gamer of the bunch.
I just got so into it. I like once I was getting breadcrumbed, right? Like throughout my whole playthrough of the first 10 hours or whatever you want to call it of the game. And I just like, as I was discovering, I was just got like more obsessed with it almost. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like I get it, you know, and it just built more and more and more. It was really tremendous.
Man, that's so great.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you. It's so funny because I just like have not in any negative way. I just like do not want to do that at all.
I totally get it.
And I'm just so glad that you are like, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah. Maybe I'll share my screen with you guys after and just show you like some of the examples of stuff.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so cool. But, yeah. Anything else, or should we rate this game?
I'm good. Do we miss anybody's questions? I think
no, there weren't
good.
many, right?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's rate this thing.
Classic Mimic.
Get out of here. Classic Mimic.
Classic. All right. So, fun?
I'll give it a 1. That some parts are really fun, other parts are kind of grindy. Even the puzzles were fucking fun, but sometimes frustrating. I'll give it a 1.
It's hard for a puzzle to be fun, you know? It's like,
it's fun in the way that like good trivia is.
Yeah.
That's how it felt. Like my mind's racing. Like I'm figuring this out. Like I'm on the right path, you know, like I'm getting there. Like the whole time I was doing the golden path, I was like DMing with Nolan. I was like, oh my God, this page, like, holy shit, I can't believe it. You know, like it was just
Okay,
So that part was all
cool.
fun. Yeah. 0 for Danny.
It's a soft 0 for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Fine with that.
Not a hard 0, definitely. Not unfun, but I didn't really have fun.
Fair.
Hey, yeah. Love a good 0.
I liked
it.
But
yeah, I think it's a 1 for me.
Yeah.
Puzzles
Simple.
aren't that fun. Yeah.
Simple.
Senses.
Senses.
It's a 1 for me. There were some really good moments that I thought were just like awesome.
Yeah.
But a lot of the game just looked really uninspired and bad. And I also didn't think the music was very good.
I liked the music. I actually did like the music. Yeah.
I liked it some of the time. It sort of felt like this game was like made by an AI.
I was literally just going to say that, dude.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that it was like it was like the music was, if you asked an AI to put a score to this game, is what it would be.
Right.
But
yeah,
I mean, it basically was, right? Like this guy, a one-man Unity show, right? It's just like whatever makes the most sense to accomplish what I'm trying to do, right? And so it's not even like really that bad of a way, but I agree. It's very AI.
So are you a 1, Danny, or a 0?
1.
Yeah, I guess I'm a 1. I mean, less the music for me, but I just thought some of the sound effects were unreal. I mean, like when you, like getting bit crushed by the miasma and shit, or like when you pray to the obelisk and it's like do do do, and then like slams down, like that stuff was all like incredible.
I agree.
But yeah, I think I agree with you guys overall. I still did have that like guttural disgust when I first opened the game of like, this is trash. Like, what the fuck is this? So I can't deny that.
Yeah, but there's some really good visual moments. Like I just feel like all the ethereal stuff looks awesome.
Yeah,
really
whenever, like I said earlier, whenever the camera swings, unreal. Looked so good and so cool. But yeah, I'll stick with the 1. And then recommend. And recommend is the hardest fucking category.
Yeah,
like, have we ever given like a 2 or a 3 even?
I think we gave
maybe Portal 1 got a 3.
I think Portal 1. Although that might have only gotten a 2. Now that I think about it, for me, what else have we played? I'm gonna look.
Because it's just so hard to be like...
Chrono Trigger got a 3, right?
Yeah. Like, I want to give this game a 2, and then I'm like, yeah, but if you only play shooters, this is a 0, so it can't be a 2, right?
I feel like I would have given... I don't know if we rated The Last of Us, but I feel like I would have given that a 3.
Oh, yeah, you might have. Yeah, okay,
that might have been pre-rating, though. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to give this game a 2. I really liked it a lot, and I think it's really cool. But again, like I just said, like if you only play racing games or GTA or shooting games, then you're going to absolutely hate this game and give up after 30 minutes.
From now on, it's would you recommend it to someone who only plays racing games?
Yeah, exactly. So every game's a 0.
Only patrons get to see what we'd give it to someone who likes racing games.
Yeah. Patrons get the full chart of if you only play and then insert any genre.
Well, the recommend category gets such a boost from price and length, like time to beat.
That's true.
So I think
fuck price. No, we can't talk about
price. Okay, not price. Just investment of time and effort. And I think it's a really high return. So
it took us all 10 hours to beat it, right? Basically.
Yeah, I would give it a.
I want to give it a 2. I want to give it a 2.
I'm going to give it a 2 also.
Because I think, again, like if you're not into the puzzle, even if you're not into the puzzle stuff, you can just stop.
Yeah.
And like you don't have as crazy of an experience, but like you can.
And everyone likes fucking original Zelda games except Teddy, right? Like everyone's just liking those games.
It's
original Zelda, original Doom.
No, it's exactly like Breath of the Wild. People are going to love this game. I think it's really low stakes game.
Yeah,
like you can
it's like Outer Wilds.
Playing. Yeah, you can start playing and stop playing. It won't be a big deal. There's some stuff like breadcrumb to keep you intrigued. it's a short game overall, very accessible. So
you know what game this reminds me of is Prey 27.
Oh man, yeah, that's a pod.
Someone just told me this is totally unrelated, but someone just told me that Breath of the Wild really reminds them of that. World of Warcraft really reminds them of Breath of the Wild, which I've never played Breath of the Wild, but I was very confused by.
That kind of makes sense because Breath of the Wild's bad and WoW's kind of bad.
It's a big world.
Yeah, it's both are like open world.
That's really good. That's really good. Okay.
I don't know. I can't answer that.
I don't want to go there.
Yeah, no.
I probably know them.
We're already about to get doxxed for Alon saying that Breath of the Wild is bad. So
yeah.
If someone wants to buy me a Switch, I'll play it for the pod.
Yeah, stay tuned for the Gameclub on it, I guess, guys.
Yeah, if you want us to Gameclub it, just buy me a Switch. I'll play it 100%.
Love it.
All right.
By the way, we're totally
Starcraft.
up for that. If anyone wants us to buy a game for all three of us, we will 100% do a dedicated podcast.
Yeah, we'll play it 100%. Yeah. Price is the only drawback of this podcast. Spending $150 when we do a new game.
Yeah.
So the problem with price, Danny, real quick, is that you cannot. This should be done for posterity. Criticism should be done for posterity, and we just can't be. It should be what is the value of this game, and as an art statement. Not
what if it's $1?
No, I just think we just shouldn't consider it. It's like people talk about bugs at launch. It's this doesn't matter. When I'm reading about a game 20 years later and half of the review is about bugs at launch, I'm like, what fucking planet are you on? What this? I don't know.
Calm down, Teddy.
It's you're not reviewing software. You're not reviewing. I don't know. It makes me so mad. I'm trying to do research for the podcast for my firm.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Anyway, okay, sorry. Okay.
Anyway, we're playing Starcraft next, single player.
Yeah. So, are we playing Brood War or no?
We're gonna play through the original campaign of Starcraft. That's Terran, Zerg, Protoss, in that order, right? No, is it Terran, Protoss, Zerg?
Don't know.
No. Or is it?
Okay,
it's Terran. It's Terran's first. Protoss, that's all I know. Yeah,
Terran, Protoss, Zerg. I'm pretty sure, based on what happens in the campaign.
But anyway, I'm so excited.
If you guys are loving it and you want to keep going, obviously everybody's played this game besides Alon, so we could
literally,
definitely turn off the HD textures if you guys want the original experience.
But turn them off and on to compare, contrast,
Halo
and
style.
then write a compare contrast essay.
We're doing a
double
DBQ.
spaced,
We're doing
2
a
pages.
DBQ.
Critical lens.
Critical lens. Don't control F and enlarge the size of all the periods to get more space, because I will see that.
This is Teddy's heard me say this, but one time I wrote a paper in college in my business. I think it was my business and government class, but maybe it was my public policy administration class, where I was writing about legalizing MDMA and talking a lot about medical treatment with it, and I was really scrambling with it, and so I Control F and replaced every time I put in MDMA with methylene dioxymethamphetamine to so it's literally just you have it 3 times in a 5 times in a paragraph, the whole thing written down.
Oh my god, that's genius.
Yeah, it was a good paper actually. It's just I needed some length.
A little short.
It was just it was so obvious why it should be legal that it was tough.
Amazing.
But anyways,
all right, Al.
All right, thanks so much for watching.
Yep.
Yeah, we love you all. Thanks for the love on TikTok, on YouTube, on KeepTube. Subscribe, comment, tell your friends. We love you.
Join Discord.
Join Discord.
Later.
Bye.